Ladies and gentlemen, in a world full of distractions, noise, and endless choices, only one kind of person consistently rises above the rest, the man who stays focused. Focus is not just a skill, it is a superpower. It is the invisible force that turns dreams into goals, and goals into victories. A focused man doesn't chase everything, he chooses one direction and walks with purpose. While others get lost comparing themselves to the world, he compares himself only to the man he was yesterday. He understands that success is not built on intensity alone, it is built on consistency. One clear target, one steady journey every single day. Men who stay focused avoid shortcuts. They know shortcuts create temporary success, not lasting greatness. They learn, they struggle, they fail, and they rise again, because their eyes remain fixed on the vision. And when life tries to break their rhythm, their discipline keeps them firm. Remember, talent can impress people, but focus is what changes lives. Discipline is what builds empires. Your focus decides your future. The man who controls his mind controls his destiny. So choose focus, choose commitment, choose the path that leads somewhere, not everywhere. Because in the end, men who stay focused always win. Not because they never get distracted, but because they never stop returning to their purpose. Focus is one of the rare qualities that truly sets extraordinary men apart from the rest. In a world where countless distractions compete for our attention, social media, unnecessary conversations, negative people, doubts, and temptations, the ability to direct your mind toward one goal is nothing short of a superpower. Most people scatter their energy across too many things, and as a result, they make little progress in anything, but the focused man channels all his strength into one direction, and that single-minded clarity creates momentum. Focus sharpens your thoughts, strengthens your discipline, and removes confusion. It allows you to see opportunities others overlook, because while they are busy reacting to everything around them, a focused man moves with purpose. He does not waste time on things that don't matter. He understands that every minute spent on distractions is a minute stolen from his dreams. With focus, small actions turn into powerful results, and ordinary days become steps towards something extraordinary. Focus transforms potential into progress, and progress into success. A focused man understands that life becomes powerful only when energy is concentrated, not scattered. Instead of trying to chase 10 different goals at the same time, he chooses one clear direction and commits himself fully. He knows that when you divide your attention, you divide your strength. But when you concentrate your mind on a single purpose, you multiply your power. Such a man doesn't run behind every opportunity that looks shiny from a distance. He evaluates, he thinks, and he selects the path that aligns with his vision. Once he chooses it, he does not keep looking sideways to see what others are doing or achieving. He stays loyal to his path. This loyalty to a single direction keeps him moving forward, even on days when motivation is low or when challenges look overwhelming. Choosing one direction also brings mental clarity. It removes confusion, increases confidence, and eliminates unnecessary decisions. A focused man knows where he is going, why he is going there, and what he must do to get there. This clarity becomes his inner compass, guiding him through failures, distractions, and setbacks. While others waste time shifting from one plan to another, the focused man builds mastery, depth, and strength in the path he has chosen. Every day he becomes better, not because he is smarter, but because he is consistent in one direction. Many people start with great excitement, high motivation, and big plans, but they burn out quickly because their intensity is temporary. A focused man knows that true success is not built on how strong you start, but on how long you can keep going. Consistency is the real engine behind every achievement. It transforms ordinary efforts into extraordinary outcomes. A consistent man shows up even on the days he doesn't feel like it. He works quietly, improves slowly, and builds habits that support his goals. He does not depend on mood or motivation, he depends on discipline. While others wait for the perfect time or the right energy, he takes small steps every day. Those small steps repeated again and again compound into something powerful. Consistency makes your dreams predictable. It creates patterns of success because each day adds to the last. It strengthens your skills, sharpens your judgment, and builds momentum. Even if progress looks slow at the start, consistency ensures that progress never stops. Intensity may give a fast push, but consistency builds a strong foundation. Intensity is loud, consistency is quiet, but it is the quiet work done daily that creates the loud results everyone admires later. One of the biggest traps that destroys confidence and wastes mental energy. When you keep looking at what others have achieved, what they own, how far they have gone, or how fast they are growing, you shift your focus away from your own journey. Comparison creates unnecessary pressure, jealousy, and self-doubt. It makes you feel behind even when you are actually moving forward at your own pace. A truly focused man refuses to let his mind wander into this toxic cycle. He knows that every person has a different background, different strengths, different timelines, and different struggles. Comparing two lives that are not the same makes no sense. Instead of chasing someone else's success, he chooses to chase his own growth. He uses his past self as the only competition. This mindset keeps him grounded and centered. It allows him to measure progress in a healthy way by asking whether he has improved, learned something new, or become better than yesterday. When a man starts focusing on his own improvement, he becomes more disciplined, more confident, and more peaceful. He is not in a race with anyone. He is simply building himself step by step. Shifting energy from comparison to self-improvement creates clarity. It frees the mind from jealousy and replaces it with determination. It allows a man to work without distraction, without insecurity, and without needing validation from others. It keeps him moving steadily forward on his own path, at his own speed, with a growth mindset that makes him unstoppable. This version is thousands of characters longer, extremely deep and motivational, or confidence and mental energy is comparison. The moment you look left and right to measure yourself against others, you lose sight of your own direction. Comparison is a subtle distraction. It looks innocent, but it slowly eats away at your energy and destroys your clarity. It makes you believe that your journey is not enough, your progress is too slow, and your achievements are worthless simply because someone else appears to have more. But what many people fail to understand is that comparison is built on an illusion. We compare our worst moments with other people's highlight reels. We see their success, but not the sleepless nights behind it. We see their comfort, but not the sacrifices they made. We see the results, but not the battles they fought alone. When you compare your life to others, you are comparing two stories that are written in completely different languages. There is no fairness in it, and there is no benefit. A focused man trains his mind to avoid this trap. He understands that comparison weakens his spirit. It makes him chase goals he doesn't even want. It makes him feel pressure to prove something to people who don't matter. It forces him to rush his journey and take shortcuts that destroy long-term success. It pushes him toward jealousy instead of gratitude, insecurity instead of confidence, and confusion instead of purpose. True focus comes from knowing that every man has his own timeline. Every man has his own struggles that no one sees. Every man has his own blessings that no one acknowledges. A focused man doesn't look at the speed of others because he knows that even slow progress, when done with discipline, leads to powerful success. He knows that life is not a race. It is a personal path that unfolds differently for each person. Instead of comparing, he chooses to compete with only one person, the man he was yesterday. This mindset transforms his approach to life. Instead of asking, "Am I better than him?" he asks, "Am I better than I was?" This shift creates internal stability and deep confidence. It makes growth measurable, realistic, and healthy. It removes unnecessary pressure and replaces it with direction and purpose. When a man commits to self-improvement, he becomes unstoppable. He becomes calmer because he isn't stressed about someone else's pace. He becomes sharper because he is focused on his own development. He becomes stronger because he invests his energy into learning, not comparing. He becomes more disciplined because he is busy elevating his own standards. He becomes more satisfied because he sees real, personal progress. A man who focuses on self-improvement sets goals based on his true desires, not society's expectations. He works according to his strengths, instead of trying to copy someone else's abilities. He builds habits that match his lifestyle, instead of adopting routines just because others are doing them. This alignment makes growth natural and sustainable. It allows him to build a life that feels right, not one that merely looks good. Comparison also blinds you to your blessings. While you're busy noticing what others have, you forget how much you have already achieved. Gratitude becomes impossible. And without gratitude, happiness becomes distant. A focused man protects his inner peace by avoiding this mental poison. He understands that jealousy shrinks the mind, while gratitude expands it. When he appreciates his own journey, he becomes more motivated, more patient, and more hopeful. When he stops comparing, he sees possibilities instead of limitations. He gains courage to try new things because he is not afraid of being judged. He gains the freedom to grow at his own pace because he no longer measures himself by someone else's watch. He gains independence from people's opinions because he knows his value comes from his character, not his competition. The truth is, comparison comes from insecurity, but self-improvement builds confidence. Comparison is emotional weakness, but focus is emotional strength. Comparison steals, but improvement builds. Comparison confuses, but purpose clarifies. Comparison shrinks a man, self-improvement elevates him. A focused man invests his energy where it matters most, on himself. He studies his habits, disciplines his mind, strengthens his skills, sharpens his thinking, and works on becoming more capable every day. While others waste time watching each other, he spends time working on himself. While others get jealous of success, he prepares for his own success. While others compete for attention, he competes for growth. This is why the man who avoids comparison and prioritizes self-improvement becomes powerful. His confidence becomes unshakable because it is built from the inside. His peace becomes permanent because it does not depend on others. His vision becomes clearer because it is not polluted by comparison. His progress becomes consistent because it depends only on him. His life becomes meaningful because it is shaped by deliberate choices and not by the pressure to impress anyone. A focused man understands a truth that many people ignore. Shortcuts create temporary success, but discipline creates permanent success. In a world where everyone wants quick results, instant achievement, and fast rewards, the focused man chooses the harder but wiser path. Steady, honest, disciplined effort. He realizes that anything earned too quickly often disappears even more quickly. The foundation built through shortcuts is weak, unstable, and fragile. Shortcuts may look attractive from the outside. They promise less work and more progress. They make the journey seem easier, but the focused man knows that shortcuts steal something precious: growth. When you skip the struggle, you skip the strength. When you avoid the hard part, you avoid the wisdom. When you rush the process, you ruin the result. A man who is focused is not afraid of slow progress. He is afraid of wasted potential. He is not afraid of hard work. He is afraid of becoming someone who gives up whenever things get tough. He chooses the road that builds character, not the one that only brings convenience. This mindset separates him from the crowd because most people want results without effort and rewards without sacrifice. Discipline becomes his backbone. It is what keeps him moving even when the excitement fades. Discipline keeps him studying when others are distracted. It keeps him grinding when others quit. It keeps him consistent when others get comfortable. Discipline is his internal engine, not something he depends on from the outside world. A focused man understands that true success requires patience. He knows that real mastery comes from repetition, not from skipping steps. He is willing to put in the long hours, make the necessary sacrifices, and stay committed longer than others think is reasonable. He trusts the process even when progress feels slow or invisible. Avoiding shortcuts also protects his integrity. When he works hard for what he wants, he earns self-respect. He can look at himself in the mirror without doubt or guilt because he knows that whatever he achieves, he deserves. This self-respect gives him a strength that shortcuts can never provide, the confidence of authenticity. Every challenge he faces becomes a training ground. Every struggle shapes him. Every failure teaches him. The focused man sees obstacles not as reasons to quit, but as steps that prepare him for a bigger victory. He knows that the harder the journey, the stronger the man it creates, and he would rather become strong than simply appear successful. Because he stays committed to the long, disciplined road, he gains something shortcuts cannot offer: long-term stability. He doesn't just reach success, he stays there. He doesn't just win once, he wins repeatedly. His success lasts because it is built on a foundation of patience, persistence, resilience, and discipline. The man who avoids shortcuts and embraces disciplined effort becomes dangerous, not because he is aggressive, but because he is unstoppable. Not because he is lucky, but because he is prepared. Not because he rises quickly, but because he rises with strength that cannot be shaken by time, pressure, or failure. A focused man understands that life will not always go according to plan. There will be days when everything feels heavy, when motivation disappears, when the mind becomes tired, and when the world throws unexpected challenges directly in his path. Even the strongest men lose rhythm sometimes because life is unpredictable. Emotions fluctuate, circumstances change, people disappoint, plans fail, and energy drops. But what separates a focused man from everyone else is not that he never falls out of rhythm. It's that he always returns. And the force that brings him back is discipline, not motivation. Motivation is emotional, it rises and falls. Discipline is structural, it holds you even when you feel empty. A disciplined man does not wait to feel ready. He acts because he has trained himself to follow a system, not his mood. When life hits him, he may slow down, he may pause, he may struggle, but he never lets himself sink permanently. Discipline becomes the rope that pulls him out whenever he slips. He builds routines that support his goals, routines that work even on bad days. He creates habits that don't require enthusiasm, only commitment. These habits become his safety net. They protect him from falling too far, too long, or too deep. While others collapse completely when life overwhelms them, a disciplined man bends but doesn't break. When he loses rhythm, he doesn't panic. He doesn't criticize himself. He doesn't feel defeated. Instead, he reminds himself of the bigger picture. He remembers the man he is trying to become. He returns to his schedule, even if the steps feel small or slow. He rebuilds momentum one simple action at a time. He understands that consistency is not about perfection. It's about returning, even after setbacks, failures, emotional storms, or moments of weakness. Discipline teaches him how to restart without guilt, how to continue without excuses, and how to rise without losing belief in himself. This ability to come back again and again makes him powerful. Most people stop when they lose rhythm. They assume the journey is over. But the focused man knows that rhythm is something you recreate through action. He rebuilds it through habit. He strengthens it through repetition. He protects it through discipline. Every time he returns after being broken, he becomes more resilient. He learns something new about himself, his strength, his patience, his endurance. He becomes mentally tougher, emotionally wiser, and spiritually stronger. He proves to himself that he can handle pressure, overcome setbacks, and rebuild from any situation. Life may push him off balance, but discipline puts him back in control. Discipline keeps his purpose alive. Discipline keeps his path clear. Discipline keeps his dreams within reach. Discipline becomes the force that turns temporary breaks into powerful comebacks, reminding him that losing rhythm is human, but returning is what makes him unstoppable. Focused man knows one universal truth. No matter how strong, motivated, or consistent you are, life will eventually hit you hard enough to break your rhythm. It happens to everyone. No man, no matter how disciplined, is immune to difficulty. There will be moments when everything seems to fall apart at the same time. There will be seasons when nothing works the way you planned. There will be days when you feel lost, tired, confused, or emotionally drained. The difference between men who quit and men who win is not that winners never fall out of rhythm, it's that they refuse to stay out of rhythm. And the force that pulls them back is discipline, not luck, not motivation, not inspiration. When life becomes chaotic, most people give up. They stop working, stop learning, stop improving, stop moving forward. They allow the storm to control their direction. But a focused man has trained his mind to respond differently. He understands that emotions are temporary, but discipline is permanent. He knows that feelings can betray you, but discipline never does. Motivation may disappear the moment stress appears. Energy may vanish when problems arise. Hope may weaken when situations become painful. But discipline remains even when everything else breaks down. A disciplined man keeps showing up, not because he feels strong, but because he has built a system that keeps him moving even when he feels weak. He doesn't wait for the right mood or perfect conditions. He acts because action is built into his identity. He has trained himself to follow routines that protect his goals from his emotions. When he falls, he doesn't stay down. When he slows, he doesn't stop. When he gets lost, he doesn't abandon the path. When his rhythm breaks, he doesn't throw away the entire journey. Instead, he pauses, breathes, regains clarity, and slowly rebuilds momentum, one step at a time. He understands that life will test his commitment. It will challenge his patience. It will push his limits. It will attempt to pull him away from everything he has worked for. But discipline becomes his anchor. It holds him steady when the world around him becomes unstable. A focused man knows that setbacks are not signs to quit. They are reminders to return. Every time life knocks him down, discipline whispers, "Get up." Not because you feel like it, but because this is who you are. And he listens. Even if the first step back is small, he takes it. Even if he has lost momentum, he starts again. Even if he feels empty, he continues moving. He knows that restarting is not failure. Restarting is a superpower that only disciplined men possess. Most people collapse mentally when their rhythm breaks. They lose one day and then give up the entire week. They feel guilty, discouraged, or ashamed. But a focused man understands that one bad moment doesn't erase years of progress. He treats setbacks as temporary interruptions, not permanent endings. He returns to his habits, his routines, his schedule, and his purpose. He returns to the version of himself that he is trying to build. And slowly, through repetition and discipline, he repairs his rhythm, stronger, wiser, and more resilient than before. Every time he comes back after a break, he discovers something new about himself. He learns that he can survive difficulty. He learns that he can rebuild from zero. He learns that he is stronger than circumstances. He learns that discipline is the key that keeps him moving forward when everything else in life tries to pull him backward. A man who can bring himself back after life breaks him is a man who cannot be defeated. He becomes dangerous, not because he never falls, but because nothing can keep him down for long. His discipline becomes a weapon, a shield, a foundation, and a compass. It protects him, guides him, strengthens him, and elevates him. Discipline is what transforms a temporary setback into a powerful comeback. Discipline is what turns broken rhythm into renewed momentum. Discipline is what turns ordinary men into focused, unstoppable winners. A focused man understands that talent alone is never enough. Talent can open the door, but only discipline keeps you inside. Talent can make people notice you, but only focus makes people respect you. Talent might give you a head start, but without discipline, it eventually becomes useless. The world is full of people who were gifted, brilliant, strong, creative, or naturally intelligent, but they never reached their potential because they relied only on raw talent and ignored the power of consistency. Talent is a spark. Discipline is the fire that keeps burning long after motivation dies. When a man is talented but unfocused, he becomes unpredictable. Some days he performs well, other days he disappears into laziness, distractions, or excuses. His progress becomes inconsistent, his confidence weakens, and his goals drift away from him over time. He may look promising for a moment, but without focus, that promise never turns into reality. But a man who may not be the most talented, yet is disciplined, consistent, and focused, often rises higher than everyone else. He may start slow, but he becomes unstoppable. He may not impress you on the first day, but he will outlast everyone by the last day. His strength doesn't come from natural ability, it comes from deliberate effort. His advantage is built, not inherited. Focus is what guides him. He doesn't chase every opportunity, he chooses the right one and commits to it for years if necessary. While others jump from one thing to another, he stays consistent. His mind is not scattered. His energy is not divided. His purpose is not confused. Focus gives him direction, and that direction saves him from wasting his potential. Discipline is what sustains him. He trains when he doesn't feel like it. He studies when he is tired. He works when others are resting. He practices when others are getting distracted. He sacrifices when others are looking for comfort. His discipline becomes bigger than his motivation. It becomes a lifestyle, a mindset, a habit, a muscle he strengthens every day. Talent without discipline becomes noise. Discipline without talent becomes strength. Focus combined with discipline becomes greatness. The focused man knows that success is not about doing something extraordinary once. It is about doing the ordinary things consistently for a very long time. Discipline turns repetition into mastery. Focus turns patience into progress. And together, they turn potential into real success that lasts. People often admire the talented man at first, but later they admire the disciplined man for life. The talented man shines early, but the focused man shines forever. The talented man may win once, but the disciplined one keeps winning. The talented man depends on gifts, the focused man depends on growth. A talented person may get ahead for a short while, but eventually life demands hard work, sacrifice, responsibility, and consistency. And at that moment, only discipline matters, only focus matters, only commitment matters. That is why disciplined men, regardless of where they started, reach heights that talented men never touch. The focused man doesn't get distracted by applause. He doesn't get affected by opinions. He doesn't rely on natural gifts. His strength comes from showing up every single day, improving piece by piece, and staying committed longer than anyone expects. He builds himself slowly but powerfully, layer by layer, until his achievements become unshakable. Talent may give a man potential, but focus and discipline turn him into a champion. Talent may impress the world for a moment, but discipline earns respect for a lifetime. Focus may seem simple, but it is the secret behind every great achievement. Discipline may feel difficult, but it is the backbone of every lasting success. This is why focused, disciplined men win, not because they are naturally better, but because they choose to keep going long after talented people have stopped. A focused man knows that his mind is the most powerful tool he possesses. Everything he achieves in life begins in his mind, in the thoughts he chooses to nurture, and in the attention he decides to give. The ability to control focus is the ability to control direction, energy, and ultimately destiny. While many people drift aimlessly, reacting to whatever distractions come their way, a focused man deliberately chooses where to place his attention. He knows that where attention goes, energy flows. And where energy flows, results appear. Life is full of noise. There are endless opinions, countless demands, and endless temptations that try to pull a man away from his path. A distracted man reacts to everything. He chases what seems urgent, indulges in short-term pleasures, and loses sight of what is important. He allows his environment to dictate his actions. But the focused man does the opposite. He filters the noise, prioritizes the meaningful, and aligns every action with his long-term vision. Control over focus is not about eliminating challenges or ignoring reality. It's about mastering the internal response to them. A focused man faces the same pressures as everyone else, experiences the same setbacks, and feels the same doubts. The difference is that he does not allow these challenges to scatter his mind. He recognizes them, addresses them, and then returns to the task that matters most. This ability to direct mental energy consistently allows him to make progress even in the most chaotic circumstances. A man who controls his focus understands the value of intentional action. He does not waste hours on trivial matters or meaningless distractions. He evaluates opportunities based on how they align with his ultimate goals. He spends his time and energy on activities that move him closer to his vision. This deliberate allocation of focus ensures that every day contributes to growth, learning, and forward momentum. Control over focus also fosters resilience. When problems arise, the focused man does not spiral into panic or frustration. Instead, he recalibrates, reassesses, and takes disciplined steps forward. He knows that while he cannot control every external circumstance, he can control his attention and actions in response to those circumstances. This sense of agency creates confidence and power. Moreover, a man who controls his focus develops clarity of purpose. His decisions are informed, his actions are strategic, and his goals are precise. He no longer wastes energy on distractions, doubts, or comparisons. Every thought, every action, and every habit is aligned with the life he wants to create. The focused mind becomes a magnet, attracting opportunities, solutions, and the right people to support his journey. Controlling focus also enhances learning and skill development. A man who can direct his attention avoids scattered efforts and shallow engagement. Instead, he immerses himself in deep work, fully absorbing knowledge, practicing mastery, and refining abilities over time. This accumulation of deliberate effort translates into exponential results, far surpassing those of scattered, inconsistent efforts. Ultimately, controlling focus is about taking ownership of life itself. It is about refusing to be a passive participant, letting circumstances dictate outcomes, or being led by impulses and distractions. By mastering where he directs his attention, a man gains control over his habits, his decisions, his progress, and ultimately his destiny. A man who can consistently control his focus creates momentum that compounds over time. Small, purposeful actions taken daily lead to breakthroughs, achievements, and opportunities that seem impossible to those who lack direction. The focused man becomes unstoppable because he has learned the secret. Winning is not about luck, talent, or speed. It is about where you place your focus and how steadfastly you maintain it. This mastery over attention transforms dreams into reality. It allows the focused man to rise above distractions, setbacks, and obstacles. It enables him to take command of his life, make strategic choices, and remain unwavering even when everything around him tries to derail his journey. By controlling his focus, he ultimately controls his destiny, shaping it with every thought, action, and decision. If you want, I can now combine all 8 expanded key points with the speech into a complete, polished, motivational long speech that is ready to deliver. This would be very powerful and cohesive. Do you want me to do that? In conclusion, remember this: focus is not just a habit, it is a mindset. Discipline is not just effort, it is a lifestyle. The path to success is rarely easy and distractions will always be around. But the man who chooses to stay committed, to stay disciplined, and to stay focused no matter the challenges, holds the power to shape his own destiny. So, choose focus over chaos. Choose consistency over shortcuts. Choose self-improvement over comparison. Build your discipline, protect your rhythm, and control your mind. Because in the end, men who stay focused don't just chase success, they create it, they sustain it, and they win. Thank you. If you like, I can also combine the full speech with all 8 expanded key points, and this ending into one ready-to-deliver motivational speech for you. It would be a strong, complete version for any audience. Conclusion. Remember this: focus is not just a habit, it is a mindset. Discipline is not just effort, it is a lifestyle. The path to success is rarely easy, and distractions will always be around. But the man who chooses to stay committed, to stay disciplined, and to stay focused, no matter the challenges, holds the power to shape his own destiny. So, choose focus over chaos. Choose consistency over shortcuts. Choose self-improvement over comparison. Build your discipline. Protect your rhythm and control your mind. Because in the end, men who stay focused don't just chase success. They create it, they sustain it, and they win.